Well, hello, pretty girls. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. We are going to put together the Easel card that is a part of your June 2023 Stamp of the Month kit. So it is quite adorable. It's going to stand up on its own, just resting on itself. And you can make these from just a regular card base. You'll see the card base here. Open up the front flap. There's the back flap. But it's just a fun little bit of folding and a little bit of adhering your paper in a specific way that's going to create this really fun easel card. So I hope that when we're done today, you guys will feel confident to create your own easel cards using card bases that you have in your stash. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You guys know, or maybe you don't know, there is more information down in the description of the video, but you guys can get the pre-cut Stamp of the Month kit when you place any $75 order on my Close to My Heart shopping website. So you're actually going to get the pre-cut consumable supplies for all of the 6 projects that you see here, 4 cards and 2 mini album pages. And that is just a gift from me to you. I will ship it right to your door. And it's just a way for me to extend my thanks for you doing business with me during the month of June. So if you guys want to learn more about that, you can again check out the links in the description of the video. Now I do apologize. I still have not regained my voice from being so sick. And so I feel like I'm struggling for every single word. So I apologize that you have to listen to my throat being a little bit scratchy, but hopefully we can get through it. We are going to go ahead and start with our watercoloring because you're going to want to let that dry. So what I might recommend when you guys begin opening up your kit and you're putting this together, I would encourage you guys, go ahead and get out your watercolor papers, and we are going to go ahead and do all of those and then leave them to dry. Now it's just as easy for me to go ahead and let them dry overnight rather than getting out my heat gun. Drying it with your heat gun tends to add some harsh lines, and I didn't want any of those. I wanted it to be very ombre-ish, if you will. I didn't want harsh lines. I just kind of wanted some of the colors to bleed into each other, and you get the best result by just allowing that to air dry. So go ahead and get them watercolored and just set them aside. You can be working on other projects in the kit or other parts of these projects, and then they'll be ready to go and not too long. So we're going to go right ahead and work on our watercoloring. I have a few things. I have a paper towel here. I have my 4 colors of our stamp pads that we're going to be using. You guys can, if you would like some different colors in your sunset, you may choose colors of your choice. Pardon me, I have just not been able to quit yawning today. If you guys will notice, the pattern papers and the cardstocks that are a part of this kit are all extremely neutral. So you've got some browns, you've got this fun toffee burlap kind of pattern here. So any of the colors from our stamp pad palette, I feel would work really well. So you guys can feel free to go and pick your favorites. I chose grape, flamingo, papaya, and honey butter. Those are the colors that I used to create this. So we've got our stamp pads out ready to go. We have our paper towel. I have just a cup of water and a wide paintbrush. So you guys can use, if you need to use a paintbrush that's smaller, it just might take you a little bit longer. Pardon me. Or if you don't want to do any painting, or maybe, oh my goodness, pardon me, maybe you don't feel comfortable watercoloring at all, then you can use maybe some blending brushes or some sponges and just use your stamp pads without the watercoloring. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put it together just the way that I put the original together, so you guys are fully versed on how to make that happen should you want to create it just like mine. So I have just a little bit of scrap paper here, and we're going to do both of these because, as you can see, there is watercoloring on both sizes of the watercolor cardstock, and it is included for you inside your kit. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to start. I just feel like it's a little bit easier to start with the lightest color first because I don't even have to worry about getting my brush really clean so that I don't contaminate a color that's lighter than the one that I'm working with. So to make it easy, I'm just starting with the lightest color. And so we always will just grab the ink pad and smush it really good. This is going to get some color up on the lid of your ink pad. I hope that you can see that. So we are going to go ahead and you guys know me. It's always a challenge for me to kind of get my workspace situated. I never know what I'm going to do. So I am going to get some water on my brush, and I'm going to just fully saturate my watercolor paper. Don't worry, it's watercolor paper, so it's actually meant to take this water. Now, tomorrow, whenever you look at it, it is going to be curled up, but you guys can place it inside you can use a heat press if you would like, or an iron. But for me, I have really amazing luck with, we're going to chase a buffalo for a moment. I have really amazing luck putting it in between the two sandwich plates of my Close to My Heart embossing machine. And I turn the dial and all of the settings down as tight as they will go. And then what I do is I just run my curled cardstock through there. Just even one time we'll do it, and it will pretty much flatten them out. Look at how flat these are. These are ones that I did off camera so that you guys can watch me put one together and we don't have to worry about the drying time. But look how flat they are. It's crazy. Like, I'm not pinching them or anything. So that is really going to do a good job of getting the curling out of your watercolor cardstock. Like I said, everyone probably has their own like method to their madness. But for me, the embossing machine really works well because it's just always out anyway. I don't have to get out an iron or plug in a heat press or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we have it saturated now, and I'm going to grab some color from my ink pad. Now, I will tell you guys, it's going to look, this ombre rainbow of colors is going to look a lot lighter today than it's going to look tomorrow when you get it off of your table and it's dry. So don't worry, you can put more color on if you want, but just know that when it dries, it's going to be darker, okay? So I have a little bit of a wash down here with my honey butter. We're gonna grab our papaya and smush it real good. And we've got a little bit of color there in our lid. So I'm just going to kind of overlap the edge of that yellow because I really just want that really pretty blended look. And again, it doesn't look very dark, does it? But when it dries tomorrow, I promise you guys, it's going to be darker. So we're going to go ahead and grab our flamingo now. We'll smush it real good. And we'll grab a little bit of water off of there. Now, I really, especially recently, since we've had some marker supply issues, I have really got into the habit of using the lid of my stamp pad like a paint palette. I really like it. I am getting a little more comfortable watercoloring, and I really like the look of it. And so what I wanted to mention to you guys is that if you feel like you have a little bit too much water or a little bit too much liquid left over in the lid of your stamp pad, you can just grab a paper towel and wipe that out of there. But honestly, I just usually, unless I just have like a little river of water in here, I will usually just go ahead and put it right back on my stamp pad. And I have not noticed any, it's not harmed my ink pad in any way. So just a little side note for you guys there. Now, the grape of these three colors, the grape is the darkest, of course, and it seems like it's the most, it's the boldest. So just a little tiny bit there, but you can see we have really kind of done a good job of blending out that color. Now, if you guys want to go back through with just some water on your brush and further blend it, you certainly can. There, that blended it a little bit better. You can see the texture of the watercolor paper. If you guys would rather not have the texture, you can turn it over to the back because it is a bit smoother. I just really like the texture on it. And what I was actually going to do was we were going to do both of the yellows, both of the papayas at the same time since we had two, and I started talking and then I, of course, forgot about it. So we're really not surprised, are we? So we're going to go back and we're going to do this again. So we are working on the smaller of the two pieces now. So we've got water on our watercolor cardstock and we've saturated it really well. Now we're going to bring in our honey butter down here at the bottom. And again, I'm going to tell you guys once more, do not worry. It's going to be darker when it dries. I promise, I promise, I promise. So we have honey butter, papaya, smushing it really good so we can get some more of that color off of there. If you find that you guys are getting, your color is a little bit too bold, what you can do is add more water to it. That's going to kind of tame it down just a little bit, okay? So we'll grab our flamingo. I'm just going to kind of blend those together a little bit more. We might add a little tiny bit more flamingo. There we go. I don't know if my lighting is cooperating today or not. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of grape, and remember, that's the boldest, and so it just seems like a little tiny bit will go a long way. Okay, so we've got some grape up there. I am going to grab a clean brush, and we're just going to kind of blend this out again. And it really looks very, very light on camera, but I assure you it will be darker in the morning. Okay, so we're done with our watercoloring. So we're going to move this out of the way, and if all goes well, I will not end up dumping it over on our work surface. So then just set these aside to dry, guys. As I already mentioned, I have a set that's already done, and so we don't have to watch that dry. We can just go right ahead and get to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping on this smaller one here, and then the back one we're actually going to put our ribbon with a little bit of adhesive on the back there, and it's going to add a decorative nature, of course, but really the purpose of it is it provides a stand for our easel so that it can stand upon itself. So let's go ahead and we'll do our stamping really quickly. And what I like to do, especially with stamps that are a little more, have a little more broader of an image, I really just rely on my stamping platform. And I know that you guys have seen me use the stamping platform many, many times. This is no exception. We are going to have a stamp that is going to be wider than the cardstock that we're using. And so I placed a bit of scrap paper down there in the bottom of my stamping platform, just so that if I got ink on the outer edges of the stamp, it did not leave ink on my foam, my stamping foam. It's just one less thing to clean up, right? So I am going to add a little tiny bit of adhesive. And again, you guys have seen me do this tons of times, right? Because this is going to hold it down steady. We're going to use our magnets as well, but we're going to be we're going to be stamping in different areas of this. And so for me, I love the sturdy, the adhesion that little drop of Tombow will allow me to have. Now, what I want to do is I don't want to bring my entire stamp up here because I'm going to cover up all of my yellow and part of my papaya. I really want all of my colors to show. So what I'm doing, and as you can see where I move this up into the middle of my stamping platform instead of down on one of the edges like where we usually put it, is I am going to just place this kind of right down here where I get the tip of this this foliage here, this in my brain I want to call it the weeds, greenery, maybe we'll call it greenery. We're going to get about the top half of it rather than all of the bottom portion that is essentially going to be covering up our beautiful watercoloring that we have done. So I've laid that down there. We are going to, of course, pick it up. And now what I find is that I really this is the best way for me to put multiple coats of ink. And you guys are probably like, the camera's probably doing this weird autofocus thing when my lid is standing up on the surface. It's so crazy. Technology, like, I don't know, it's just crazy. So look there, if I would have done that with just a regular, one moment, just the angle I was holding that, my ring was really cutting into my finger. If I was going to do this with just a block, that would be kind of a disaster to go back in and stamp it again so that I had a really nice crisp black image. But with the stamping platform, I really can do it as many times as I want, and I don't have to worry about making a blunder. So we may go in and do it one more time. There are just a few little pieces there that could use a little tiny bit more ink. Another little trick that I use when I'm stamping with black is if you have an image or even a sentiment that you are stamping and you make a little blunder, and possibly you're not using a stamping platform and you don't feel completely confident to stamp it again with your block and be directly on top of it. That's where my problem is. I have hand trimmers so much now that it's very difficult for me to get it lined up and go back in and stamp it directly on it again. It has nothing to do with the quality of our blocks because you can see through them perfectly. It's just my own operator error that I struggle with, and the platform really allows me to not have to worry about that. But if you had a blunder with either a solid black portion or even like a sentiment with a font, you could go and grab your black journaling pen, or you can grab your black alcohol marker or even a Sharpie and just color in the little spot that has the little blunder, and you'll just never even know it. It is quite wonderful how easily we can fix mistakes like that. So now I am going to place my grateful for you just kind of somewhere up here in that little empty space. So we'll go ahead and get that stamped on there. I'm going to do it one more time. Remember, you are stamping, unless you turn it over, you're stamping on textured paper, that watercolor paper. And so keep that in mind when you are doing that. So it looks like we are okay now. So we're going to take this out of here and we're done with our stamping. So we have our watercolor pieces done. Now what I'm going to do, and you guys may or may not have noticed, I like to run my journaling pen around the edges. But I didn't want it to overlap where I had stamped. So I couldn't do this one before I turned the camera on, just to save some time, like I did the one on the inside, because I didn't know where my stamped image was going to end up. So now I have that border that's going all the way around, but it's stopping right there on the edge. So now what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and get both of our pieces prepared for assembling our card. So what I have done is I've grabbed my, I have grabbed my ribbon. Now you guys get this included in your kit, of course. You have plenty of it. You'll actually have extras. So if you guys tie your bows a little differently than me, or you want to put ribbons somewhere else that I did not put on the projects, you will be most likely just fine and have enough ribbon to do that. But I took off just a little bit of the ribbon. This only has to span across this base and then have enough to kind of tuck underneath. And what I did, my favorite way of adhering this 1/8 of an inch satin ribbon is a little bit of 1/8 of an inch score tape. It gives a really nice adherence, and it's super flat when you're done. So it's not messy like liquid adhesive or anything like that. I can also put it on before I turn the camera on, so you guys don't have to watch me place it on the back there. So I am just kind of checking. I've lined this up on my Versamat, and all I'm doing is I'm trying to get it even across there by lining it up with the grid lines that are underneath. So I have this adhered. I am folding the edges behind. Now we're done with our watercolor pieces. So we'll go ahead and we'll get those adhered onto the espresso cardstock, and then we just have to create the actual easel portion, and it's practically done already, my friends. I told you it was really easy to do and very fast. And like I said, this card design is something that you guys can do with any of the card bases that you have at home. You can do it with any size. You can do it really with a lot of different shapes. And you can do it with multiple orientations as well. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So we've placed our larger of the two watercolor pieces on top of the larger of the two espresso, and then the smaller of the two, we'll go ahead and get that adhered down. You can also use less adhesive if you guys have flatter watercolor cardstock as well. So I encourage you, if you've not tried the trick running it through your embossing machine, then you might give that a try. I think that you will really, really appreciate the little hack. So now let's grab our card base, and you guys, it is the easiest thing on the planet, okay? So it is shaped just like a normal card base, right? Folded in the middle. Let's make sure it is in the middle and that we have scored the center really, really well. And it is a single fold that is going to create this easel card, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take the front portion of our card base, we're gonna take the front flap, and we are gonna fold it back down here to the crease in the middle, okay? So make sure that it is directly in the center, and if you fold it directly over on itself, it should be in the center, but you wanna give it a really good crease. Okay, so you'll see regular card base, we took that front flap and just folded it back over on itself, okay? And now what we're gonna do is we have the small toffee piece. Now the back side of the toffee is really cool as well. It's one of those like the I'm drawing a blank on the name, but it's a really fun wood grain design on the back. I like this because it was a little bit darker, and I felt like it looked really nice with the rainbow watercolors there. But if you guys would rather the wood grain on the back, you can flip that over and it'll match just perfectly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece that is 2 inches wide by 5 1/4, and you are gonna line it up right at that fold line, okay? So that's gonna leave you an 1/8 of an inch border around all of the 3 remaining borders. So now we're going to open it up, and we're just going to go right ahead and we'll assemble it like we would a card that's not going to stand up and be fancy. Okay, so this one, it goes down onto our bottom flap, and we're leaving that 1/8 of an inch border around the edge because you guys know that is how I roll, right? And then this one, what we're going to do is we're going to put some adhesive on here, but you want to make sure that you keep your adhesive on the top half, okay? If you put adhesive completely on the back side of this, you're going to have adhesive here, and then when your card is shut, it's essentially going to adhere itself to itself, and we don't want to do that. So make sure you keep your adhesive on the top portion, okay? Now what we're going to do is I am lining it up. I want it centered so that I have, when it's closed, I have this really pretty border around the bottom as well. And look, I just noticed what I did, guys, and we can't fix it now, so I'm not gonna fret about it, but I put my purple on the bottom instead of my yellow. So these are not going to match like my original, because when I'm talking, sometimes my brain is not paying attention, and that's okay. It mistakes happen, right? So I have a little bit of purple at the bottom instead of yellow. But look, if you adhere the bottom portion down that does not have adhesive on it, but get it nice and lined up so it looks really pretty when it's closed, then all you have to do is remove your finger up here on the left and stick it down onto the easel part, and it's all lined up. How about that? I love it. I love it. Okay, so you'll see no adhesive here, so when it's closed, it's not going to close onto itself, and it will stand up. I will also mention to you guys, you might notice this, that this ribbon was pushed a little further back. That is going to result in the card standing a little straighter up, okay? So if you guys would like a card that is going to lay a little further down, kind of like the one that we did today, then bring your ribbon out a little bit. I did this on purpose today just so that I could show you guys the difference. So if you like the look of it standing straighter up, then bring your ribbon back towards the center of the card. If you want it a little more flat, where you can see that laying down a little bit more, then bring your ribbon closer to you, to the outside of the card, okay? I hope that that makes sense. Now, the only thing that we have left is to add just a few glitter gems. Now, I've seen some posts for people that are kind of frustrated that the gold glitter gems are being retired. That is okay. The silver glitter gems are not. And why I say that's okay, if I could only pick one or the other, I would pick the silver, because you can take your alcohol markers or even a Sharpie and you can color them to any color that you would like. And so, pardon me, The gold glitter gems that came from the factory gold, you couldn't make those silver, but you can start with silver ones and either leave them clear, or you can color them any color that you want. So I'm okay with just clear silver glitter gems because we can make them whatever color we want. So the gold brown blend, the darkest of those three, I hope that you guys can see that, is the color that I used, and it's a little bit more of a lighter, more like transparent color. So you're gonna have to put more than one coat on if you want that really nice, bold, deep tone of the gold. Okay, so I actually put 3 coats of the alcohol marker on. You don't really have to wait for them to dry. I just go put a coat on all of them and then I go back over and start over again. So you don't have to like let them sit for a while or anything like that. But that is going to give you a really nice gold color to your glitter gems. And again, if you guys don't want gold, maybe you want to have like a dark purple or something that kind of coordinates with your stamping, you can color it any color that you want. So grab some of your markers and you can kind of play around with them. It's really fun to color our neutral bling. I remember doing it years ago when we had the stapler. So we would color the staples, and you can color your acrylic shapes, and you can color your dots, and it's just super fun. A super fun way to be a little frugal with some of your product. Maybe you don't have to have the, you don't have to have the dots in all the colors. Maybe you want to get them in a neutral color, and then you can color them with your markers and change them whatever color that you would like. So it's kind of frugal. It's kind of fun because you end up not wasting any, because you don't have to worry about not needing the color that you have left. So lots of fun ways to kind of look at it, but really, it's just a super easy way to make your products even more versatile. And what is not to love about that, right? So we are done with the easel card. You guys can check the YouTube channel for the other videos for the June Stamp of the Month kit. Remember, you guys can get it completely free when you place a $75 order on my shopping website during the month of June. So thanks so much for watching. I am so grateful. If you have not subscribed to the channel, you are welcome to do so. I invite you to do that. And I'm working on a fun series that is going to be coming later this fall that I think you guys will really enjoy, and you're going to want to know about it. So if you would like to subscribe, I would be so grateful. And if you guys have questions, feel free to leave them below, or you can reach out to me on any of my social media sites as well. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.